You know, this life really is just one big playground, and it's up to us to decide what kind of games we want to play with it and what pair of glasses we want to put on. You know, it really comes down to that. We can choose to pop on a pair of glasses that allows us to see everything in this world in a state of fear and to notice everything that's wrong with it and to find all the reasons to believe that everything is wrong and that we're wrong and that we need to prove ourselves and that the world is unsafe. Or we can choose to put on a different pair of glasses that instead allows us to see all of the love in the world. As cheesy as that sounds, it's the truth. That allows us to see all of the beauty that is literally actually there. It's actually there, and the only reason we don't see it is because we've got the other fearful glasses on that's kind of like tainting it, you know? But this is the thing, like if we take away all of the, I guess, like silly actions that a lot of mankind take, we can see that like the inherent true nature of this reality is actually beautiful and it's actually safe and it's actually love. That's the true nature of reality. But we're made to believe that it's not. We're made to believe that we should be afraid and that the inherent nature of reality is wrong. But how can it be? Because like, look at an animal, you know? Look at a tree. Look at another human being. Like, is it really wrong? Couldn't be more right, you know? But we'll only be able to see it in that way if we choose to pop those glasses on. And at the start, it might feel kind of hard if you've always been used to seeing, I guess, like the cup half empty. Or you've just been so used to keeping yourself extra safe because that's what you've needed to learn to do, which is completely fair enough. You know, a majority of us have had to learn to keep ourselves safe because of a lot of the hardship we've experienced in life. But if you feel like you don't need to do that anymore, if you feel like you're ready to actually start experiencing the trueness of this life without the lens of fear and needing to keep yourself safe, then what we do is we move away from living in the mind and we start to live in the heart. And one step we can take to start living in the heart is by every morning when we wake up, as much as we might want to just reach for our phone and start the comparing yourself thing, or go running to our to-do list to go to all the things we need to do in order to prove to ourselves that we're enough, or start thinking about all the things that went wrong yesterday and all the things that are going to go wrong today. If we just avoid that temptation that can be so enticing, if we can just say no to that and instead put our hands on our heart, close our eyes, and just really give thanks and acknowledge all those little things that we never actually really earned, if you know what I mean. Like, none of these things were promised to us, like our comfortable pillow and warm doona. Like, who said we should have that? Do you know what I mean? But it was given to us and we have it. You know, even just like the way we breathe and the fact that like we don't even need to think about the fact that like we need to take a breath. Like, it just happens for us. Isn't that so cool? Anyway, if we like notice these things and train our minds to look for these things, just train ourselves to look for these things, slowly it becomes a more constant, permanent reality for us. And we will find these things without having to look for them anymore. We will just notice them naturally. And it really will help to change a lot of our suffering and to help us to actually live this life, I think, in the way that it was intended for us to live. You know? But if we wake up and the first thing we do is chuck on the news where we're just constantly hearing all this really sad, negative stuff, I'm not saying to avoid that stuff. I'm not saying to avoid and be ignorant, but you need to at least be able to build your human as stable and solid enough to be able to witness news and still be able to have hope, faith, and still be like stable within love and to not get swept away by hate and fear, really, you know? And so we have to check in with ourselves. Like, sometimes you need to ask yourself, like, Can my human consume all of that while still remaining centered and grounded in love and faith? Or is that going to take me away into a dark, dark place that is actually not going to be helpful for anything or anyone? You know, we need to remember that like we are all very empathetic beings. It's in our nature. Naturally we empathize and naturally we feel compassion for everything and everyone, because at the end of the day we're all connected. So in order to at least be able to uphold our role as the light in this world, we need to check in with ourselves and we need to take action that's going to allow ourselves to be able to remain rooted in that love, to not lose ourselves, you know? Because once we lose ourselves, then, you know, it just gets worse. So just try it in the morning when you wake up. Just practice it. It's going to feel weird at the start, but see if you can just like actually notice some things that you're like actually pretty grateful for. And don't just say it out loud, like, thank you for this, thank you for that, without like feeling it or meaning it. That's when it feels like kind of pointless because you're not really connecting with it. Instead, you don't even have to say what you're grateful for. Just focus on the heart and feel that feeling. Feel the feeling of gratitude. Like, feel the fact that like, wow, okay, I literally get to wake up right now and I've got a toothbrush that I get to brush my teeth with. You know, just like really feel that for a sec. And I only tell you this because I know that it can really help you to come out of suffering. This is the way. This is the way. This is the stuff we want to do in order to shift away from the negative mind and come back to the heart. You know, thanks for listening.